So this is Justin, and all of a sudden, I'm forgetting your last name, Justin Olson?
There you go.
Okay, looks like I didn't totally forget it. So Justin is the COO of FirmTrack, and I want to do a quick intro. He has nearly 20 years of operational sales and leadership knowledge working for multinational corporations on clients ranging from small to Fortune 100. Holy cow, Fortune 100. His work on customer-specific trend reports from MetLife national account clients became the foundation for annual reporting within the Employees Benefits Division for the last decade. His passion for improvement and efficiency within the intelligent digital age is the driving force towards building a repeatable, scalable, and world-class experience for all FirmTrack customers and intermediaries. Outside of work, he spends his time with family, watching college football or any level of baseball. That kind of cracks me up. We're definitely going to have to talk about baseball today. He holds a degree in marketing from Millikan University, but is also a proud alumni of the Western Illinois University baseball team. Welcome, Justin from FirmTrack.
Thank you for having me.
I am so happy to have you. Okay, I didn't realize you were such a baseball player.
I love baseball. I could talk. We can take this and talk about that all day long. So,
all right. So we're going to do baseball. Here's my baseball claim to fame. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
Besides the fact that one of my college roommates married a pro ball player, but he was pro for he got called up into the big leagues and then got injured like immediately.
Pro is pro. Doesn't matter. That's
pro
great.
Is pro. But my cousin played in the finals of the Little League World Series. He was the pitcher.
That's awesome.
Well, and what is even funnier, and this totally has nothing to do with anything, but you're going to laugh. So I am from Texas. I don't have a huge accent. Most of the people in my family do not. My uncle, who used to sing with the Texas Boys Choir, was their coach. And he's got a great singing voice. So before every game, actually, anytime he was trying to get people to move, like when we were children and he'd be like, get in the car, he would sing the theme song from, I can't even remember which one it was. Head 'em up, move 'em out, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Rawhide.
So he sings the Rawhide thing. So he would sing this before every game. And ESPN heard about this, and they must have heard him singing. So I had a watch party when they were in the finals at the ESPN zone in Washington, D.C., and I'm standing up on the table, and I'm throwing boxes of Cracker Jacks to all of my friends and anybody else that will pay attention to me. And on the giant screen comes my uncle, who has the only Texas accent in my entire family, and he proceeds at like 17 times life size to sing the Rawhide song.
That's awesome. Pretty cool. What town were they from? Do you know who they represented?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, okay.
West Side Little League. Nice.
Yeah, I watch that every year. I love it. It's one of the best ways to end the summer is with watching the Little League World Series. So.
It's fun to do, and I think a lot of people really enjoy going to Omaha and watching and participating and all.
Oh, that's the college. That's the College World Series out there. So that's Omaha.
College is in Omaha. Yeah, I can't remember where
the Little League is in. It's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Oh, name's escaping me, but yeah, out east. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I've always wanted to get there. I've been to Omaha for the College World Series a few times, and it's just a great experience.
Yeah.
Definitely want to make it to the Little League.
Fort Worth has TCU. We've got a not bad baseball team.
Oh yeah. So. Well, you see my Cardinals cup right here, so it's always
awesome. Yeah, for a town in Texas, we do a lot of baseball. One of the baseball commissioners lived here, and so yeah. Okay, so that's not why we're here. We are here. So one of the things that I talk about a lot is the ability to make data-driven decisions, right? A data-driven decision can be made faster, and you don't second guess it. You know, like Justin, how you've had, like, you make a decision and then you go to bed and you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, was that the right thing or not?
Every day, yes.
Every day. I'm guessing not as often as most people, because you are like me in that you believe in data. And when you have data and you make a decision based on that, it makes sense. You don't have to second guess it. Like, that was the right answer and you're done. And you all also believe in data.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have done an awesome job. I think one of the biggest complaints or frustrations that our clients tell us is, I don't have that information. And you make it effortless.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, I don't come from the legal field. I mean, I come from an insurance background. But we, even then, I mean, insurance is notoriously late to the game. I mean, if they say, I don't know who's later. It could be, is it the legal industry or the insurance industry? Flip a coin, depending on what the topic is.
Just not going to buy into that whole technology thing.
Right. And, the whole world of legal tech and insure tech are kind of working their way up to catch up to everyone else. But yeah, so, my background was on the operational and sales side, and from, working with large clients, like I would work with United Airlines was one of my largest ones. And at one point we were managing their disability plans for their unions, their pilots and flight attendants. And, we didn't really have anything to show them, how well their plans were running and things along those lines. We'd have spreadsheets. And we're going back to probably, post a little right after post 9/11 with the UAL, with working with their HR departments. And so we had to create what were KPIs. We didn't really know what they were, but we were just basically creating PowerPoint presentations and trying to show, like, here's how things ran. Now, then we had to find something to compare them to. Like, okay, we have this snapshot. That's great. Here's, you had this many claims, but is that good or bad? And we didn't know. I mean, it was MetLife. We're the largest life insurance company in the United States at the time. And we're running their life, disability, and dental plans. And we just didn't have trends for that to show our client. And so we had to kind of build those from scratch, just using spreadsheets and then trying to make it look pretty on a PowerPoint presentation. And so that just kind of started I don't want to say love, because I mean, we don't really, who loves, we want to say that, but fascination and my just curiosity, just to try to find the best way to show how something is running. And with FirmTrack, I came into it with a different perspective, because our CEO is a lawyer. He's a solo attorney, and he was trying to find a way to just see how the heck his business was running. Mainly from a matter perspective. He was worried about, are there lost files somewhere? And he had, he worked with Clio and Practice Panther, some of the big ones. And, the complaints from a lot of their clients are the reporting aspect of things. And it's very one-dimensional, pull it out from a spreadsheet. It was very familiar to the world that I had lived once ago in the insurance world. And so we just started working with the programmer and developer, and realized that, hey, we can tap into the practice management system and you can do some pretty cool things. And sometimes historical data is the best predictor of where things are going to go. And that's what that's what we're still continually working to improve upon and streamline, because we know that there's something there. Other people are trying, that's where the world's going. Is trying to figure out the right KPIs and what is really driving business. And it can be different for each individual law firm. Everyone runs their business differently. So there's a lot of ways that the data can go.
But you guys make it all available, which is wonderful. And then I also want to talk about the fact, so our company's connected, a year and a half ago? You all were in beta at that point. And then I guess we met you all in person. Was it October when we were at ClioCon?
In San Diego, yep.
Yeah, and we said, okay, Justin, here's what we really want. We want you to hook up to QuickBooks. And y'all were like, yeah, we've been thinking about that. We're like, and here's what we want out of QuickBooks, and here's how we want it to interface with Clio and Practice Panther and all the practice management systems. And you all were like, yeah, we've been thinking about that. And then you did it.
Yeah, it's the
Which I love.
And the good thing about being young, and I still say, I mean, we're out of beta, but we're still, I mean, we're still new, and we're still trying to, we're still working on improving, but we have the flexibility. We've had people come to us and ask for certain things, and we've been able to do them. And we've actually taken this time during the pandemic to look at all of the feedback that we've gotten from people and work on revamping the system altogether, just to make it more and more dynamic. But yeah, when we first started talking, I started talking to Claire in your office on a potential beta right around this time last year, actually. So about a year ago, and we just kind of grew from there. And when we were named one of the finalists for the ClioCon Awards, that it really helped us just get some notoriety, but it also helped us realize we really need to get certain things done, because it's real now, and it's conceptual, and you're building it, and you think what people want, but then once you start talking to the people in the real world, then you really find out what they want, especially as you come out of the paid beta version, because when someone's getting it for free, they're, oh yeah, this is nice, I like this, but when they're paying for it, hey, I want to see, I want this, I want that.
Yeah, because there was a weird trend line that we were like, you've got to get rid of that, it just messes everything up. Like,
and I think we did.
Distracting line.
Yeah, and I think we did. And you guys have been great for that, and and especially from like the QuickBooks perspective as well. I mean, we knew we needed to go there, because the financial data and profit margins, things like that. I mean, it's tough to get out of Clio if someone's not utilizing Clio the exact right way. If they're not running all their bills and everything through that system. So you do need to tap into the financial data. And I mean, let's face it, that's pretty important information for people to want to see. And, what we're still working through is meshing the QuickBooks data with the Clio data or the practice management system data. I mean, it's always going to be something that we're working to optimize. But, we have that connection. We're working on the Zero one right now. And then a couple other practice management systems. So,
all right. So I'm going to ask you kind of a series of questions, and you don't know that I'm asking you any of these questions. So if you get the deer in the headlights.
I'm sweating already.
All right. So what are the 3 pieces of data that people are most excited about? What are the 3 things that people have asked you all for that you're most surprised about, that you didn't anticipate them wanting? Like, kind of tell me about the data and what's on the homepage. What do you all consider to be the most important things?
I'll start with what people have asked for most. It's funny because, when we first started this, we were looking at, what are the top KPIs for the legal industry. There's the ABA has studies, Clio has studies, utilization, realization, collection, all those, a bunch of different ones. There's
Wait, can we talk about utilization for a minute?
Yeah.
Because you and I totally agree on the utilization thing.
Yeah, what?
Clio came out, and Clio will now track your utilization rate, right? Mm-hmm. Based on, I'm setting you up for an answer you may not have at the tip of your tongue. They set it up based on a 40-hour work week.
Yes.
Which I think is BS. And I think you guys agree with us. Utilization should be based on a billing goal.
Yes, and that's the one thing that we have is we realize that as well. And there's some, there's some standardizations that Clio has. They just have to do because they're the big giant in the room, right? I mean, they have so many projects that they can do, and they've been amazing to work with. Just with us, I mean, we know that, they can do what we do, but they have other things that they need to focus on. So they provide what I kind of call like the pop music version of, like here's the high level, this is everything. And so their utilization, there is some standard things or standardized methodologies that they just have to use because they're just too big right now, and they can't really customize or get it customized like that. Where during our setup process, we actually allow the clients to go in and put in work goals, how many hours they work per week, So, I mean, we have something where it is called utilization, realization, and collection, but we call it work time, build time, and, collected time, just to make it more second grade level of understanding.
Okay, wait, can we rephrase that? Not second grade level. Can we just say we put it in kitchen table English?
Kitchen table English. Perfect.
So it's not intimidating,
yeah.
right? If someone starts talking to you about your realization rate, utilization rate, like deer in the headlights, oh my gosh, like eyes as big as saucers. Yeah,
definitely.
You guys make it easy.
Definitely do, and that's what we have to do. We know that we have to be that easy, the easy answer, and so it's really easy to understand. And that's where, I mean, my job, it never ends, because that's just what I focus on. I'm not a programmer. I try to focus on the end experience. But yeah, so our ability to have the client actually customize their work time, their build time, or their goals, their hourly goals, things along those lines, then you really are getting a true, a much more accurate picture of your, your utilization and all those numbers. So that is a common question that we receive when we're out in the field. Hey, Clio can do this. It's like, well, you're right. They give you something, but who works 40 hours? And what's your billable monthly billable target or whatever. I mean, that's where we get into those figures. So
yeah. All right. So the things that people ask for the most
yes.
were.
I will say, it's funny. Going back to there's so many KPIs that people recommend. Like, we had all those. We even had, if it was 20 KPIs, we had 50. And it's like, this is what it is, or 55,
and you log in, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, right. But once the thing that we got the most, and is everyone looked at the information. They're like, oh, wow. Cause they're seeing their law firm from a different perspective for the first time. And then it really started triggering creativity in their minds. Cause they look at this and it's like, oh, well, I see this. Well, now I want to see that. Or how can I do this? Name it, whatever it is. If it's your account receivables, oh, that's awesome. 0 to 30 days, 30 to 60. I really run mine off of 120 days is late for me, or whatever. So how can I do that? Whatever it was, like, I want to dive deeper. That's the biggest thing for almost everything we would show is everyone wanted to see more, and they didn't even know they wanted to see more until they saw the dashboard.
Until they got a glimpse.
Right. That's been the big, and it's been difficult on our end too, because we have dev times and we want to cut things off and then, finish this project and move on. But when you're getting feedback, it's like, okay, well, we're working on it. But as you know, I mean, you can attest to this. If we get feedback on something, we're going to do our best to try to figure a way to make it work. We're not a custom reporting solution. We can't be. We need to have something that scales. Our model is cover about 80% of what, if we can get 80% or stay in that range, we're never going to be 100% for everyone. And unless you're going to pay, I mean, there's companies that can do that, and you're going to be paying a lot of money. I mean,
right. You guys are reasonably priced.
Yes. And we need to be.
Yeah. And I think what's really important for people to understand is y'all are responsive.
That's good. Like, yes, we try to be.
It's not some black hole that something goes in and you never hear anything. You guys are like, you know what? We're working on this. Would this work? What do you think about this? You can pull this. We don't have that right now, but here's an alternative. Like, you guys are great about that, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Is the going deeper the most surprising thing that people have asked for?
I mean, just in general, yes. I mean, I wouldn't say it's ever been like one real main, like, hey, I want to see a certain profit margin on a certain thing. It really is just, I want to be able to kind of dig. I would like to be able to sort my own way almost, because I like this. I love your main dashboard, because as you know, when you first sign in, we don't ask you to do much work to do it. I mean, the user experience is a few clicks, you sync, and our sync time with, especially Clio, if we're talking, I mean, that's going pretty quick now.
And I would show your product, but I can't because the ones that we have access to have client names on them.
Yes. And I'm on my iPad right now, so I don't know if I could even show, but yeah, I can set up a demo with anyone who wants one. But yeah, so, I mean, you can sync pretty quick, and it just then pops up your dashboard. There's very few customized things that you have to do. But we've learned that people like to play around with the data a little bit. And so that's what we're working on now, our new iteration that we're really close to rolling out. I mean, I just gave some final approvals on some KPIs, late last night. And it does give some sort of, sort functions that they didn't really have before, which will really solve a lot of the problems that not problems, but a lot of the questions that, some of our clients have asked for. So.
All right. So what are those things that are on the main dashboard? If you log in, what do you see?
Yeah. So you're going to see right away, you'll see your revenues, expenses, along with the cash that you bring in the door. So you're going to right away, you'll see that. And the expenses, if you're connected to QuickBooks, you'll have, more accurate numbers, but, otherwise it'll be expenses that are in Clio that are being tracked. And you'll see your accounts receivables. So there'll be a pie chart of your account receivables, and then you can click in there and you can actually go in and see you can deep dive into what, which clients are within those ranges. Our matter tracker, which is that people like that. It's basically tells you what matters are running as planned, or in jeopardy, matters that haven't been touched in a while. We use the green, yellow, red traffic signal colors. Like, hey, it's red, you have 200 matters that haven't been touched in 30 days or whatever, or they haven't been invoiced. And you can click right in and you can find those, and you see a timeline of the matters. I mean, that's all right there.
Wait, you said something that I think is really important. There are a lot of companies or a lot of firms that have done work for a client, but it hadn't been billed. Mm-hmm. It's like free money that's just kind of sitting out there. Bill that sucker.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I mean, what we've learned is, I mean, and law firms are getting better at this. I know just from the past year and a half talking to law firms, the clients we're talking to now are savvier than they were a year ago. I think the education has really come down. They've really started trying to streamline their business. Just like everyone else, there's the bigger players are coming in and maybe trying to take their business. So the small law firm, the 1 to 10 size law firm, they need to capitalize, or they need to really pay attention to what revenues they're missing and they're missing out on. Where before, maybe they maybe thought they were, but they're practicing law and they're so busy and running. Everyone in their office is busy, because it's paper files, like kind of what we were talking about. You have paper files, you're taking them to work and stuff. I mean, that's how they're running. Their days are crammed in. And why not have something that you can look at the click of a button and you can see, hey, I have all this revenue out here. There's all these things that I just haven't invoiced or I haven't followed up on. I think lawyers are scared to follow up on accounts receivables as well. And I have some background in LPL insurance. We've had a conversation before. We have some mutual friends there. But if a lawyer sues a client for missing accounts receivables, then that client typically turns around and sues them, and it's a malpractice claim, and they can be completely in the right.
That's the fear. It doesn't happen as often as people think it does.
It doesn't, but insurance carriers think it does. Insurance carriers definitely think it does, and that in itself is a risk. And so they've been a little hesitant. Where doctors' practices will just send you to collections right away. If you're 30 days, your collections. They don't care. But lawyers, it is a little higher of a risk there. And but there's other methods. You can have soft follow-ups and things. But I just don't think a lot of law firms have gone down that route. They just kind of let their accounts receivables age. So.
Well, and here's the thing about accounts receivable. I talk about them. Your AR is like rotting fruit. Every day that goes by, it's worth less and less. There's less that you can, there's less nutritional value. And the longer it sits there, the more likely it is to make you sick.
Yeah. Well, that's, I may steal that. That's good.
So, an AR thing, if you are in constant communication with the client, then you don't have that problem of them getting mad about paying the bill, because it's not like it's been sitting out there for 6 months and all of a sudden you pop up after having no communication, be like, wow, where's our bill? We're sending you to collections, right?
Yeah.
They know it. They've been talking to you. They've been talking to somebody from your office. But I want to go back to the dashboard.
Yes.
Because I love the dashboard. So you can see revenue, you can see expenses, you can see your AR, you can see which cases haven't been worked, you can see revenue that hasn't been billed. Mm-hmm. What else is on the dashboard?
And then you can get into what we were talking about, your utilization, realization, or collection. That's one of the final, trying to think of how it goes in order. In the bottom right, when you're looking at your screen, is work time, build time, collected time. And available time. So our one chart is, we actually take what the user will input the work hours for everyone in their office. So they go in and they'll select, this person's part-time, they work 10 hours, whatever. And this one works 60 hours, whatever it is. And it adds that up. And it'll say, here's your overall available time. If you maximize, you're running 100% capacity, here's your available time. Of that, how much was actually worked, or at least logged as work, and then how much was actually billed, and then what was collected. And so we use that. What did you use? Kitchen table talk. Kitchen table English. So we use that, and then that's one of the other ones. It's just right there, and you can see it's a rolling 6-month average.
So that is one of my favorite things to look at in law firms is, and I call it build versus goal. So, how much they work, because it's so interesting that lawyers come to me and they're like, everyone on my team is so slammed. I'm like, really? But you're not doing any business. Like, what's happening there? I had a client come to me. He was new. We did this in the sales call. So he comes to me and he's like, I'm going to do $1 million this year. He was at like 750, 850 the previous year. It's like, so I know I've got a little bit of extra capacity, but everybody's totally busy, blah, 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 blah. And I think I need to hire. And I look at his P&L and I'm like, you're spending how much on payroll? And so I'm like, tell me who you got. And so we went through and I did a quick computation to figure out the available hours that he had. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you have $2 million worth of employees. Like, you have $2 million worth of inventory. Time is your inventory. And you are carrying $2 million worth of inventory, and you're trying to do $1 million this year. So if you're trying to do $1 million this year, you need to cut half your staff. And he's like, but they're all so busy. Like, dude, yeah, they're all so busy, but they're busy hanging out in their offices, planning their weekend, watching Friends reruns on YouTube. I'm like, they're not working. He's like, but they're not coming to me and telling me that they don't have enough work. I'm like, yeah, because they're getting really well paid to do nothing, and they're not going to open their mouth and ruin a good deal.
But everyone was happy. Everyone was making money. The lawyers making money.
Everyone was making money except for the owner. And he was losing money.
Well, and that's what we're finding. And it's there's so many inefficiencies generally speaking, in a law firm business. And people may be busy, but what are you doing? You're just doing busy work. Are you really working on something that's generating revenue, or are you just spending time doing what you know, and just focused on things that have always kept you busy? And we know it's hard to change, and the whole concept of change and the mindset of change is difficult in anyone, and we understand that, and it's a sensitive subject sometimes when we're in conversations. And I've been on one before where the owner of the law firm was talking, and he kind of just said, he goes, this is replacing a job. like someone's job. I'm like, well, and I'm sensitive to that. I've been through rifts before. I've been managing, had to lay people off. I've been on the verge of it. We all lived through 06, 07, 08. So we know how tough things can get. And it's like, well, maybe that person can be allocated to something else now. Like, what else are you trying to, where else are you trying to work on? And I know you have these conversations with people probably all the time. That's kind of the business you're in. It's not the business I'm in,
Right. But here's the thing, the business you're in gives us the information we need. And it gives it to you all in one place. And it pulls together the practice management software and the financial software. And so when I was running a law firm, however long ago that was a while ago, actually, I had to choose new software. And so I went with the fully integrated software where, the financials were in it. Here's the downside to that. It's not as user-friendly. I couldn't get as much information out of it. It did have some great reporting, but I wanted that all in one solution. It is not the choice for most small law firms. It's too much software for most small law firms. So when you have Clio and Rocket Matter and Practice Panther, those are all great software systems designed for smaller law firms. They don't have the financial component, which means that you're looking at some information over here in isolation, and then you come over here and you look at other information, and you guys bring it all together into one place, which is what I like.
Our goal, I think that we as FirmTrack has the capacity or the capability to be the aggregator of it all. And we're, we want to, we can sit, we don't have the capability yet, but theoretically we can sit upon any software that they use as long as there's an open API. And that's our long-term goal, is to bring together the practice management system, the accounting software, their phone system. If you're a business owner, and I'm involved in this now, I get requests so many, like all day long. I'm getting emails from CRMs or MailChimp, whatever, all these different capabilities that we could use to optimize our own business. I'm getting stuff all the time, and I get reports from all these ones that we actually use as well. Our goal is to be the one place for all of that, to bring it all together and show, show the Google Analytics with the, work, how with the work capacity, and, what do those show? What do those mean if you bring them together? There's so many different ways that you can do this, and we just got to go one step at a time. But being that aggregator is important. That's something that we're building towards. So.
Yeah, well, and I love it. And you did pick up what I consider to be the most important one, which is the financial aspect. So, kudos to you. So I would like you to go look at some of those marketing ones next, because that's one of the hardest things. Mm-hmm. We need data to make decisions about marketing. Is that a good spend? Is that not a good spend? Should we be doing that? Should we not be doing that? Should we be putting more money to Google Ads and less money to, a Yellow Pages ad?
Right.
Like, what is it? And to be able to start to pull that information into one location, have it start to tie more to our cases. And like, if you could give me a case acquisition cost, I'd love it. And while we can get it manually, how nice to have it updated automatically every time I log in.
Yeah, and we've looked at the APIs for some of those marketing ones, and they're pretty straightforward. And so it's definitely something that, we know that we can do. We haven't dedicated time. I foresee that being a big initiative in 2021, just because I know for the remainder of this year we have to perfect the QuickBooks and then the Xero, and we're in the middle of a big project with Action Step as well, and the workflow, because they do everything based on workflows, and and certain coaches have workflows that they package for clients and stuff, and so that's a big project that we're working on for this year. And so I foresee the marketing aspect. That's going to probably take over our 2021, getting to that acquisition cost is essential. So.
Yeah, it's a big one. But you guys are doing an awesome job. Like, we love what you're doing because, like I said, if you have data backing up your decisions, it's so much easier. You know, if you know that people are only billing 20% of their goal, geez Louise, it's so much easier. And I'm not saying that you can't get that out of your case management software. You can.
Right.
You can pull 14 different reports, and you can pull one report, and they're all static. You can pull one report that says how many hours they bill. You can pull another report that talks about, you know, what your revenue is this month. You can pull another report that says all these different things. You can pull a report that says cases that haven't been touched in 60 days. Like, you can pull all these things, but you have to pull every single one. And then you have to go open every single report, as opposed to being able to just, I don't know, log in and see it all there.
Yeah. I mean, the same thing. I mean, you can also manage your law firm through paper files and spreadsheets and contact lists and everything, but you're choosing, because you know it's a time saver, you're choosing to spend valuable money and resources to use Clio or Practice Panther or someone along those lines. You know, it's an efficiency. And you said it earlier, your inventory is time. You know, there's only so many hours a day, you know, that you can work and do things. And so that's very extremely valuable. So our goal is to save you time, save you stress, and, you know, hopefully make you money. So,
which is awesome. All right. So you've talked about your new initiatives a little bit, working with Zero, working with Action Step. What else is on the docket for Firm Track right now?
The biggest thing is our new revamp that we're doing. So adding a lot of sorting features for people. So imagine your like your utilization and realization numbers that we talked about. We have like an employee tracker right now a little bit, so you can kind of sort by employee, but we're breaking that down even into more dynamic, where you can sort by all the users, you can sort by area of practice, you can sort by date, and so you can actually, you know, you can basically do employee reviews with this, and we're making, you know, and you know,
that makes
right. And I mean, our current model right now, you can kind of do it. We had it kind of ready for ClioCon, and then we've been playing around with it for a few months, but then, you know, now we're like, okay, let's really break this down, and what can we do? But all of our reports, we're having that sort feature on. So whether it's their matters, you can sort by all the matters per employee. The one thing I was working on last night was just putting together the comparative features. So, you know, you can see what, you know, if you're improving or not. Because right now it's kind of just a snapshot of where you are. And we want, you know, in order for it to tell a story, like, I think everything should tell a story. If you have a slide in a presentation, if you're sitting with a client, if that slide can't tell a story, then don't have that slide in your presentation. And that's no different with the KPI. So our KPIs, each one needs to tell a story. If it just gives you a snapshot of here's where you are in May of 2020, well, is that good or bad? Did I get better, worse? Yeah, like, you know, yeah.
Where was I in April?
Yeah, exactly.
Where was I in March? Okay, it's going up and it should be going down, or it's going down and it should be going up, or it's going up and it should be going up.
Exactly. But that's where you can see the complexities come into it, where you're like, okay, do I measure this against last month? Do I measure it against a rolling 12-month average? Do I measure it against last year at this time? You know, it gets really dynamic.
Awesome. A little drop-down button. Compare. Compare to X.
You're getting to where we're going. And so those are like the features that we're plugging in. So, you know,
and that's what makes it more customizable. And I know that you're really moving towards that, because you want people to be able to use this the way they want to use it.
Here's my, if I envision my perfect world, I would have, you know, a community of people sharing their own ideas on how to do this. You know, like here's, you know, have a group, Facebook, whatever, people are talking and like, oh, I was able to get this by doing that, you know. That would be my ideal, where the community then is engaged.
Okay, wait. Is there a Facebook group?
There is, but we haven't really dedicated a lot of time to that quite yet. It's so
I didn't know if we needed to be joining something that I didn't know about.
No, it's something that we need. We'll promote it a little more once we get to this newest version now, because right now it is a pretty static dashboard. You know, it's here's where it is. Everyone gets, it's the same. Everyone has it. You know, we can't really change things. But what we're working towards is having those sort features and things like that. And then, you know, hopefully with the next, it won't be in this revamp, but then having them be able to then create, like if they generate a report, hit save and say like, I want this one on my dashboard. So when they open their screen, that one's always there, something along those lines. So that's functionality that we're, you know, I'm still going back and forth. You met our programmer Arsalan or whatever. So he and I are talking later tonight just to, you know, go on with some of that stuff. But
yeah, Arsalan always loves it when I get hold of Firm Track, because I have all kinds of suggestions, and he's like, oh.
Well, and no, but here's the fact, and this is something that we haven't talked about yet, is and where you come into play is, at the end of the day, our reporting is only as good as the data that is inputted into it. And so in order for us to really provide something that law firms can benefit from, we need to know that they're putting their information in properly. So that's where it's like, we want clients who are working with coaches and consultants and things along those lines, because then we know that you're doing that. You're making sure that they're doing things the right way. They're inputting stuff. They have the right systems. You know, you might even be the only one looking at the reports. Maybe the client doesn't, but you can then recommend things based on that. However, the dynamic is, we understand that we need them to have that knowledge so everyone is putting the information in properly. They're using their systems properly. Otherwise, our reporting, I mean, what good is it if it's 60% accurate because they're not using the system properly?
Right.
You know, well,
you mentioned something. You talked about practice area. I think there are a lot of people that don't necessarily assign a practice area to their cases, and they'll say things like, well, all I do is divorce. Well, that's great. I understand that all you do is family law. Mm-hmm. However, you do divorce with children, you do divorce without children, you do modifications, you do adoptions. Those are different areas of your practice. Each type of case is different. Each case type needs to be evaluated on its own. And if you're not putting those things as your different practice areas, you don't have the visibility that we could really benefit.
And think about that too. Adding to that, if you were just talking about acquisition costs and things along those lines, is, you know, well, what are you advertising for? You know, do you even know how much it costs you to close a divorce? Do you even know how much it costs you to do an adoption? Things along those lines. You know, you're paying, which employee are you allocating to that? Is that employee high paid or a low paid employee? And so where are you making money? Where's your profit margin per area of practice? Because then, I mean, just think of a world where you could look at that and you can see, hey, I'm making, you know, 110% on family law, and I'm barely spending any money, but I can just click this button right here, and then there's Google ad just goes out for, or a Facebook ad just goes out for family law. I know I'm going to get a 10% click rate, and I know it's going to be, you know, a 2% close rate, whatever it is. Like, you know, I'm going to have that, and I know it's just going to trigger my business up from that perspective. I mean, that's the world they can get to.
And you talk about having that, living in that world. Wouldn't that be great? I have lived in that world. I do live in that world. However, that world is full of spreadsheets and nightmares. We had a client that was personal injury, and I downloaded, I don't know how much information into a spreadsheet, and then I started manipulating. and I started working it, and I started, filling in holes because there were always holes. And I worked this for a while.
I've seen some of your spreadsheets before, and I'm sure.
So I came back to the owner of the law firm. I'm like, here's the thing. Hospitals slip and falls. Don't do any more car accidents. No more wrecks, because they're not profitable for you. The hospital slip and falls are, and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Like, I could see what was happening. I'm like, it's the same interrogatories. It's the same, like, everything's always the same. And so you get it's just faster and easier, and it's all done by paralegals, and, this is great. That's a lot of effort that went into getting that information. However, if you've got your practice management system set up and feeding to you guys, that's so much faster. It's there. You've got it.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, just think how much that would optimize your business. Just rolling this out. And so, I mean, that's that's where we are going to get to, is something, very streamlined along those lines. And that's the goal. And no one's there yet. So we want to be, at least no one's there in the legal industry. I mean, you can get there in retail or whatever else, but in the legal world, unless you're a major law firm and you have your own private servers and you have a custom built solution, our goal is to bring that to the little guy and let them compete.
You like the same kind of law firms that we like, that kind of 1 to 10 attorney, maybe 15 attorneys. That's your sweet spot, right?
It definitely is. I mean, we have a 60-person law firm. I mean, the largest that we had done that we had synced was 99 or 98 people. But they need more. I mean, they need custom solutions, and we're not optimized for that.
And realistically, Clio or Practice Panther or any of those aren't a good solution for that law firm with 99 attorneys.
They're trying to get there.
Prohibitively expensive. To have that many people. There's other software that's bigger and more robust that'll work better.
Yeah, and Clio's come to us on a few different larger law firms because who doesn't want to grow upstream? I mean, because Clio knows, I mean, their model works for anyone. If they just get it in, I mean, they can just, they can charge more. It doesn't matter to them how many users, because they want to grow their user base. So if they get a 100-person law firm, I mean, it'll run the same as a 2-person law firm on their platform. But
and if the 100-person law firm is smart, they'll call Clio and negotiate.
For sure, absolutely. I don't know. I'm out of that. I'm not a Clio salesperson. So, but even with Practice Panther or anyone, but I mean, we know. I mean, they want to go upstream because they know that there's more margin in that for them. But they know that those clients require reporting. Because they're on Juris or something along those lines, where they may have and then they have their own reporting. They have their own IT teams, things along those lines. And so we've worked with them on a few, just to try to see how it goes, and it helped us. And we've built some custom reports for a few, but it helped us. We build them knowing that we're going to build this and we're going to roll it out to our masses. I mean, that's our goal, is to just figure out, what are you doing here, and what do people like to see, and we'll look at it and try to, will other people like to see this? We think so, and we build it to roll it out and to scale it. So
I love that. Okay, so we're almost out of time. We have not talked about one of the things that we did, which was how to tell the health of your firm.
Yeah,
that's a big one. All right, can you give 3 ways to use the dashboard to tell the health of your firm?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one, accounts receivables. I mean, accounts receivables, that's a big one. I mean, and right when you sync, that's one of the first things that you'll see is your pie chart of where you're at. Red, yellow, green, 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90, the 90 plus. So you can see right away, here is, here's your account receivables. And that's a big one. We personally think our matter tracker, where your matters stand from a project management standpoint is very critical. It's critical from a client management standpoint. You mentioned earlier with just communicating to clients. If you send an invoice out 60 days later, they're like, what the heck is this? And they're like, I haven't heard from you guys. I haven't heard from you guys in this long, and now I'm getting a bill. Like, I tried calling you and no one answers, and now you're sending me a bill or whatever. Like, that's a very common story.
Well, and that happened to me, not to get you off track, that I used a printer, not my normal printer. I used a different printer. And we called and tried to pay for it. They didn't call us back. We called again. We called 2 or 3 times trying to pay the bill that we knew was out there that we hadn't seen. 2 years later, they send me a bill. You don't want to use that person again. All right.
But yeah, so that's another one. If you can measure where your matters stand, like you obviously want more matters in the green versus the red. That one's huge.
And I remember the first time I didn't know about that. I did not know that I could go into a practice management system and pull a report that did that. And the first time someone on my team taught me that, because we've got an incredible team and everybody teaches each other. And I was sitting there and I'm like, here's what I really want to know. I think they've got matters that haven't been closed. And can we look at this? And Claire, ever the tech geek that she is, was like, well, I can run this report. Here are all the cases worked with longest since they put time in to the newest with time. I was like, that is so cool, because that tells you so much. Are we being sloppy in the firm and not closing things? Do we have things just hanging out? Are we ignoring a client that needs us? Have we missed something that will move this case forward? I think that's fabulous information.
Yeah, and everyone's human. And I'm under the impression that I don't judge someone else's, you can't judge someone else's pain. You can't judge someone else's anxiety or angst. I think everyone in America is overworked, tired, especially now. There's so much change. So, you made the comment earlier about someone, well, they're all busy. It's like, I do think everyone in their mind is busy. Everyone is. There's so many things that we all have to worry about on a daily basis. And, you just lose track. And that's where computers and AI and tech can help. I don't think it's out to replace people, at least not in our lifetime, for the most part. But it can help you stay organized. I need it. I need it on my daily basis, and so does everyone at the law firm, wherever they stand on the pyramid. And that's what we want to do.
When I was in grad school, I took a class, and they gave us a really interesting statistic, and I can't remember exactly what it is, so I'll just kind of give you the gist. It was comparing the amount of information that we consume versus how much information has been consumed at other points in time. Mm-hmm. And the statistic was something like, there is more information contained in a New York Times one-day edition than people in the Middle Ages got in their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, so talk about information overload. You've got the internet, you've got TV, you've got social media, you've got a fire hose of information coming at you every day. There is only so much you can remember. My mother is amazed at my father, because she'll send him to the grocery store for 2 things and only come back with 1, right? And yet he can tell you who owes his law firm money and how old that bill is.
Yeah.
Right? So it's what is important to you and what information will your brain hold on to. And I think that anything that allows us to not worry about some things and not worry about remembering a couple of things, makes room for other things that are more important. And so knowing that someone's going to track the utilization, knowing that the dashboard is going to say, oh, by the way, you haven't touched this case in 60 days, gives you a sense of peace, and knowing that you don't have to be the one to initiate that information is somewhere else.
Yeah, and even if there's reminders that you can set up in a CRM, because a lot of law firms will have a CRM, plus they'll have practice management system and stuff, and there'll be reminders and things along those lines. And it's still, I mean, you unless you have someone at the law firm watching that stuff, because office managers can't. You've managed a law firm, our tool is really built for more like the office managers and stuff along those lines, or the owner or whatever. But having someone that they're not looking over your shoulder or whatever, but they're just trying to make sure that everything is moving along. And that's where that's the area, the zone we want to be in, is just helping, is really helping them make sure they're not missing deadlines. If they are, like, hey, you can, there's invoices here, like you said, there's invoices here you can do, and just so you don't have to remember it. It's just click the button, look, all right, I'll go in there. Oh, yep, I need to go do these. Do these
Here
5
are all
things.
The important things that I need to
and they don't do them
in one place.
Yep, and they don't do them in our system. I mean, our system literally just lays on top. So it's not like they need to learn another system. They don't need to then go in and say, okay, I need to figure out how to get this done in FirmTrack or whatever. It's like, no, just go back into Clio and do what you normally do. This is just something that it shows. It's the flashing lights. Hey, you got work to do, or hey, your revenues are here this month versus last month, and your expenses, where your collections, it's all kind of moving. You don't need to do anything. It's just for visual, and so you can manage your business with data. So
just gives you some data. All right. Well, I'm a big fan of data-driven decisions, so let's end there. I do want to say, if people want to get in touch with you, Justin, how do they do that?
They can. There's a couple ways. I mean,
or get in touch with FirmTrack.
Yeah, info@firmtrack.com. It goes to me and a few others. So it's literally info@firmtrack.com. Best way to get a hold of us. I mean, we're in an email world. But like you said, we try to be very responsive, and getting back to people as soon as possible. Check us out at firmtrack.com.
Can they set up a demo at firmtrack.com if they have questions?
Yep, absolutely. Or even at info, whatever. I mean, there's a way to do a demo. They can register. You can do everything out there. I mean, follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, it's just FirmTrack. So I don't like LinkedIn. I'm not a big LinkedIn person. I kind of like the Twitter world. So I'm out there.
Dude, you're living there by yourself.
Follow me. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter.
Are you going to follow me on Twitter? I'm at CapCapCFO.
I think I'm already following you, if I'm not mistaken. So
awesome.
There you go.
And just so everybody realizes, it's FirmTrack, TRAK.
Yep, FIRM and then TRAK. It looks cooler, I guess. So there you go.
All right, Justin, I so appreciate it. This has been awesome. And I think that's it. Thanks so much for coming on today.
I had a blast. Can't wait to talk again. So.